Okay. So there's so much charcoal on this page already. We don't really need to add too much more. So in fact, I'm going to start just by blending what I have already into my values and the muscles, and then I'm going to start subtracting that charcoal. We might need to add a little charcoal down in the neck because we don't have anything in there, but you'd be surprised at how much charcoal I can actually get. The trick with this is that as you are blending, you are following the lines of the muscles. This will give you a texture of this sort of like grainy muscle texture. So that's how I'm gonna start, by blending. And I'm using my medium blending stump for this. Now we're gonna have to go in with our eraser and definitely get more lines, but this is gonna add some. So I'm putting my blending stump where there's the most charcoal to begin with, and I'm dragging it. Blending stump is surprising, but it is a drawing tool. It's not just a tool for blending, it's a tool for drawing as well. After we do this step, then we can go back and decide if we need more charcoal in certain areas. Now, if you really look at the muscles, there's a lot of shadow and a lot of highlight. They're sort of like dipping underneath each other and coming up and overlapping each other. So in order to actually get that dimension where we see that one muscle is over top of another, we're going to have to add shadow and highlight. And this is part of the skull here. So that's actually, there's no muscle right there. I'm going to do some blending on the ear. And this is kind of where the discovery happens, right? We started off maybe with the female skull, or maybe with the male skull, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we have to end up with any person in particular. We're going to end up with who we end up with here. So step one really is, let's move the charcoal around the page and create a little bit of texture. And the next step is going to be adding more charcoal, more blending, and then erasing, subtracting to get our highlights. And you're still looking back and forth. Make sure that you're not just making it up. Make sure that you're really looking at your source image. Little pupil in there. Now the circle that I drew was the whole eyeball. So within the eyeball, I have to make sure that I'm drawing that pupil. And then the iris. We haven't put the eyelid on yet, so the person's going to look a little bit wide-eyed. Okay, so once I do this, then I can go in and add a little bit more charcoal in the areas that I think are a little darker. And as I add the charcoal, I'm not going to just block it in really dark. I'm going to do the same thing I did with the blending stump. I'm going to add it in lines in the direction that I'm seeing it. This is going to help us with our texture later. And at this point, you might start to see some personality in your person. You know, we start to put the muscles in there. You know, we might want to change the expression on the face in this generic resource, right? We want to make this our own person. So to do that, I might want to, maybe she's smiling. Maybe the side of her mouth is upturned a bit. Or maybe there's a smirk on her face. And those are the creative choices that you can make as you're working on building her face up. The purpose of doing this is just to learn the anatomy of the face as we're drawing. You know, as you move on and you're not drawing the skull anymore and you're just kind of figure drawing, or you're drawing even anime and stuff, it's a good idea to kind of know the structure of the skull and the eye sockets and all that stuff will help you. It'll make you better at figure drawing realistically, and also, you know, cartoon and anime as well. Alright, so I think it's time to get rid of these teeth. So I'm just going to use all that charcoal and I'm going to blend them in. Goodbye, teeth. It took me a long time to draw you, but that's okay. And this is where you can decide, well, I like those lips or I don't like those lips. I'm going to do a lot of erasing as well. I might just kind of lighten them up a bit so I can see. I might want to move it up and give her a smile. Give her a little smirk. There we go. And that's the beauty of charcoal, is that we can erase and kind of change it. I could also, you know, I could make her eyes a little bit more upturned and give it a crease there if I wanted to. Make her look a little happier. Or we could go extreme with the emotion and go sad. If you wanted to make the person look sadder, you could work on that by changing the muscles, the gesture. For now, I'm looking for muscle texture. It's really what I want to see in your drawing. Is the value, the shadows and the value in the muscles. Now I definitely have to add more value down in the neck here. Anyone have any questions? You're gonna have to unmute and just shout it out. Alright, so after I add some more value to it, I'm going to go back in with my blending stump and I'm going to blend even more. really starting to see the texture here. And I can go back and forth, seeing that there's a darker value up here on the top of this muscle. So I'm going to put some more charcoal in there and then go back with my blending stump.
Are all the demos on Schoology?
The first one is, but I'm doing these live, so it's not going to be on Schoology until I'm done and uploaded. So Gabby, are you looking for the first one? The first one is definitely on Schoology. It's in a folder called Class Recordings and Demos.
I think that may have been Lauren. That wasn't me.
Oh, that was Lauren? Okay. Sorry.
I think
I didn't look up. I just kind of, I guessed. Sounded like Gabby. So I'm trying to be as live as I can. Whoop, just lost my light. As live as I can with you guys, because I want it to feel like you're in class with me. But I also want you to be able to go back and rewatch what I did, or if you're absent, you can't come to class, you can still do the work. So I will be recording every single demo I do this year. I'm posting it. Trying to, at least. So you're probably thinking to yourself, well, this person looks pretty hairy. Looks like a werewolf lady. Alright, I'm almost done blending my shadows. I'm going to go in and start doing some highlights now. The highlights are kind of my favorite part of working with charcoal, because things really start popping once you add your highlights. And we're going to add highlights first by using the erasers, and then I'm going to show you how to use that white charcoal. The white charcoal, really, you shouldn't use it too much. It's really meant for just that final touches, a few really bright little highlights and reflections, especially in the eyes and stuff. Don't worry about hair yet. We're going to do the hair once we add the skin. If you're really feeling like she or he or they need a nose, please feel free to go ahead and do that right now. I'm going to add a nose to mine. And then nostrils are cartilage, so you're going to have to add those as extra on top. Because right now we just have a hole, right? The skull is just a hole right here. So the tip of your nose from this ridge here on is all cartilage. And if you're drawing the side of the face, I'm not going to see this nostril as much as this nostril. It's going to be sort of smaller. Okay, so wow, so the second I add that nose, all of a sudden I'm starting to see the nose and the lips. I'm starting to see personality. Okay, I'm going to do a little bit of like detail blending of the eyes here. And decide, make some decisions. Are the eyes going to be dark or light? Alright, so to blend and pull out some highlights, I'm going to use my eraser, whichever eraser you have. I'm going to go through and really look at where the brightest highlights are in the muscles. Like if I look at these muscles, I see the part in any three-dimensional object that is sticking out the most is going to have the highlights. So same goes for these muscles in the face. So anywhere that it catches the light, it's going to be brighter. In fact, I'm going to use probably pretty much this eraser on my number 2 pencil the most because of these lines. I want to keep my lines.
I have a question.
Sure.
Do we need to complete this by this week, or is it going to be next week's work?
I think that I said the muscles were due on Friday, but let me double check before the end of class, okay? We definitely have more time. But I really want you to take advantage. You should be working on this during class. Like, we should all be working on this now. You shouldn't be working on something else. Because the due dates are designed to work in the class time that we work on these things. I don't want you to or expect you to really work on these a lot after class. I don't want you to have a lot of homework. So you have to use class time well. Let's put it that way. But I also know you guys aren't going to work as fast as I'm working here, so if you need more time, that's fine. I see someone's got their mic on and I can hear them drawing. If you could mute yourself, that'd be great. All right, guys, so you're probably working on this as I'm working, and that's totally fine. Let's work on this for another 5 minutes, and then we're going to do our checkout. So a couple quick little things here so I can see. Okay. All right, guys, so update on what's due. Today you're posting a WIP, which is a work in progress by the end of class. The final version of this drawing, only with muscles, highlights and shadows included, so it's supposed to kind of get closer to what this looks like, due Friday. And I'm going to keep working on this for a few more minutes. Please post your WIP by 3:50. That's in 3 minutes.